Yo, what's up? It's your boy Six and welcome back to another tutorial. And in today's video, I'll be teaching you an effect from the late great Aldo Colombini. It was originally published in his book Boroque Cards in 2008, and it's a small variation of an effect from magician Carlos Vaquera. And this is a great effect, and it actually caught me off guard the first time I saw it when my friend Doug Edwards showed it to me. It's a really simple effect, but I tell you, when you perform this effect, people are gonna freak out. It is very, very strong, and I highly recommend you practice this and perform it because it's that good. So let's go ahead and take a look at the performance. I'm going to show you how a magician would cheat at poker. So let's just say I had the four kings here, which is going to be the king of diamonds, king of clubs, king of hearts, and the king of spades. I'm going to place these four kings down the table just like this. Now at this point I have the spectator cut the packet in half, just like that. I have them cut this packet in half as well, and they really get to cut wherever they want. It's totally up to them, and cut just like that. I'm going to place these four kings on these piles. This will be the king of hearts, king of clubs, king of diamonds, and finally the king of spades, which is going to be on our leader packet. So I'll place it just like that. Now there's a technique called the invisible palm, and if you haven't seen it, it looks something like this. I just place my hand on top of this packet. Now the card is in my hand, you can't see it because it's invisible. Watch. That's one, that's two, and that's three. If this worked, if I was able to successfully perform the invisible palm, now we'll have all the kings together on the leader packet just like this. Wow, absolutely incredible. Really incredible. You know what's amazing though is that, you cut the packet anywhere that you wanted, and you really had a free choice. The strange thing though is I wouldn't be worried about playing cards with me. I'd be worried about playing cards with you, because you were able to cut to the 1, 2, 3, 4 aces, and an absolutely incredible routine. Alright, so let's take a look at the method. Now this is an effect that I really enjoy, and I highly recommend you practice this and perform it. You're going to begin by getting the 4 aces on top of the pack, just like this. And we'll talk about some methods in which you can do that after. I just want to give you the basic explanation first, and then we'll talk about some ways in which you get those aces to the top. You're also going to place the 4 kings on top as well, just like this, and now you're set to go. You're going to begin by spreading over 7 cards. Let me explain why. So I need to get a break under 3 of those aces. So I'm going to spread over the first 4 cards, which are the kings that I'm going to turn over in just a second. However, if I just push over 3 more cards, 1, 2, and 3, now as I go to square up and pick up these 4 cards, I can get a finger break underneath those 3 cards. That's really important. So once again, I'm going to spread over 4 cards, push over 3 more, and now as I pick up these 4 cards and I square these cards up, I'm getting a little finger break right there underneath those 3 cards. So once again, that's 3 cards here, and there's 1 more ace here. So that's my starting position. Now I'm going to turn these all face up, just like this. Now I don't turn them over as a group and show their faces, because I don't want them to know what cards they are right away, because I'm going to deal through, and that's part of the method. So since I have to deal through the cards as part of the method, I don't want them to see the cards right away, so I can show them one by one. This makes a little more justification for performing that, as opposed to saying, here are the 4 kings, let me deal through now one at a time. That doesn't make sense. So I avoid that altogether by turning the whole packet over, and now I'm going to pick up all 7 cards. So I'm picking up the 4 kings and the 3 cards beneath it. All the cards above the break are getting picked up. So the break is there, I pick up all those cards. A couple of suggestions: the packet is going to get a little thicker, so I would recommend you putting your second finger at this corner, thumb at the back, so this way they can't see the thickness of the packet. That's one way in which you can do it. Another way is just to tilt the deck or the cards towards them a little bit more, to the eye level. Anyway, it's up to you. I'm very comfortable with the cards. I usually just go through the motions, and I feel very comfortable in not seeing the extra cards there. But just for safety reasons, pick up second finger at that corner to cover the edging. Now I'm going to peel to the first king, and I'm going to turn it face down. I'm going to call out the king of diamonds, the king of clubs, the king of hearts, and finally the king of spades. Now before I turn this card over, because I have 3 cards underneath there, I have to drop this whole packet on top of the deck, and I say finally the king of spades, and this will be our leader card. Again, justifying the action of not simply flipping it over, because I'm pointing out that this will be the leader card, which I'm going to place right here. And I'll place the other 3 kings right next to it. I want to pause for just a second, because what happened here is I dealt the cards out on the table, and then I said to the spectator the other 3 kings. Just so you know where you stand, this is not actually the other 3 kings. These have been switched out for 3 aces by doing the move that we just talked about. So I'm going to place this face down and continue back to where we were. Now I'm going to place the deck of cards down on the table just like this. So I'm going to place it in front of the 3rd card over from the face-up card, because now on top of the pack I have some cards set up, right? So I want to keep those on top, and I want to get that packet in front of this packet, this card here that's face up. And here's how I'm going to do it. I place this 3rd just like this, and I'm going to say, can you cut the packet in half? And I'm going to point to where I want them to cut it. So they're going to go ahead and cut the packet in half just like this. And then I'm going to say, can you cut this packet in half? And the reason why I go to this packet, because now I want to change directions, right? I want to feel as if they're cutting randomly at different places. So they're going to cut from this packet and cut a small packet over just like that. And I'm going to say, finally, can you take a half of this packet and place it over here? And this gave a time delay that they're kind of losing track that that's the top of the pack. And they're going to cut it just like that. Perfect. So now I'm going to place these cards on top of the packets. And what I'm going to do is miscall these cards. So I know that these are the aces, but instead of just calling the ace of hearts, I'm going to look, I'm going to see it's a heart and say, I'm going to place the king of hearts over here. I'm going to place the king of clubs over here. And the king of diamonds over here. And I'm just miscalling the cards. And then finally, the king of spades over here. And this will be our leader packet. And as I said in the performance, I'll show you how they cheat at cards using the invisible palm. This is just borrowing from the invisible palm aces routine. If you've never heard of it, it's a different routine, but uses the premise of invisibly moving cards in a poker game. I'm going to place my hand over the packet, say watch very carefully. I'm going to invisibly palm the card. I'm going to hide it there. You can't see it. I can bring it over here. That's 1. I take this one, bring it over here. That's 2. Finally, I can take the 3rd one, bring it over here. And if it worked, now I have the 1, 2, 3, 4 kings. And all you have to do is flip those first 4 cards face up. That is all you have to do there. And now, because you placed those 3 aces already in the process of the routine, now you're already set to say, you know, that's amazing. Give this a moment to settle in, because for a layman, this is already exciting. This is already amazing. Like, how did he do that? Give a time delay, and then you can bring back up. Well, the strange part is that you cut the pack anywhere you wanted, right? You had the choice to cut. The weird thing that I don't get is how you cut to the 1, 2, 3, 4 aces. And this, they lose their minds. This is absolutely amazing. It almost seems completely impossible to them that they were able to cut to the 4 aces. I love this routine. I can't tell you how amazing I find it and how fun it is to perform. What I do want to point out here is I like the structure as well, and at least with the presentation that I applied to it, because it makes it more about the spectator at the end, right? Like, this was me doing something amazing, so I get the credit, but at the end, the spectator did something amazing, so now I can be amazed with them. So we enjoy the amazement, because I know how I did this, right, using the invisible palm, but in this case, I can still act shocked, like I have no clue how they were able to cut to the aces. And I think it also just ties in nicely, you know, because then you could throw in, well, you weren't about playing cards with me, I wouldn't want to play cards with you, and it kind of just adds like fun, lighthearted moment. Let's talk about a few ways in which we can set this up. So the first thing is that these kings can be already in the pack, right? So that's one way. And then you can have the aces on top. So I like to have them red, black, red, black. And then you can start from here and simply go through and take out the kings, right? So I'm gonna take out the 4 kings for this. Or you can just say, do you have a favorite 4 of a kind? Maybe, you know, 5's a number. You try to get them to say anything but the aces. If they say the aces, then you can just simply say, that's too common. What would you want to do? If you're playing poker, what 4 of a kind would you want to use that would not seem suspicious? So then they can say a 2 or 3, a queen, anything but the aces, because the aces are the most prominent, right? If you want anything, you want the 4 aces. So you're going to tell them, go ahead, name any card. You don't want the aces because it's too obvious, but if you wanted a subtle card, a 6, a 5, a 4, what 4 of a kind would you want? And let them choose, and then you can go through, and let's say they say the queens, you can go ahead and take out the queens. Usually they'll say the kings, so you can give them the choice, or you can just say, I'm going to show you a trick with the 4 kings. Again, totally up to you. It's your life. Do what you want. Now let's say you're using a shuffle deck, right? You didn't set the deck up, you didn't have time to set it up, but you still want to perform the effect. Well, there's a number of ways in which you can go through with that. So the first would be simply culling the aces to the top. So what that looks like is I'm going to go through here and I'm going to take out the 4 kings. But as I come to the first ace, I'm going to cull that ace back just like this. And I'm going to do it with all 4 aces. Now, if you don't know how to do a cull, I'll probably be covering that in a future video. But I'm sure there's plenty of resources for you online in order to get started. But I just want to show you in this context, you can take out the 4 kings and then cull all 4 aces as you go through and bring them to the top as you take the aces, as you take the kings out, and now you can have your aces on top ready to go. So it's just another way in which you can do it. So there you have it, a wonderful effect from Aldo Colombini and Carlos Vaquera. I highly recommend you take a look at the work of Aldo Colombini. Not only has he created some wonderful effects, but he has actually compiled some wonderful effects into both video downloads and ebooks. So there you have it. Have a happy Halloween, and I will see you in the next video.